Studying at university with ADHD is the direct equivalent of extinguishing small fires that are constantly cropping up throughout the day, but not actually working on the highest priority assignments and deadlines, the things that will have real consequences if we don't complete them. This can leave us feeling disheartened because we know we've worked hard and worked on something, but have nothing to show for all our efforts. This is especially true for larger assignments and exams at university that are some time away, where the lack of immediate gratification and pressure can stop us feeling motivated. ADHD makes it harder to complete tasks over a longer period of time due to time blindness. This can also create unnecessary stress, especially as we approach deadlines. If this sounds like anything that you're experiencing, well, I've got a 5-point framework that I've developed at Oxford University that helps me stay productive with ADHD with deadlines looming. On this channel, I talk about the systems, frameworks, and gadgets that help me make small marginal gains every single day at university with ADHD. Keep watching and subscribe to learn more. Chunking tasks into small, manageable, bite-sized chunks. For most people, the hardest part of any task is getting started, and this is worse for those with ADHD. And this makes sense, really. It's the beginning of a task where there's the greatest uncertainty, pressure, and little, if any, progress. It's easy to procrastinate when the odds seem against you and you're not feeling in control or enjoying yourself. I learned early at medical school about the GTD framework, the active step taken to break down a complex and seemingly impossible task into small chunks helps with regaining control and in the process reduces procrastination. The process of actively breaking down larger assignments into small manageable chunks also lends well with the Pomodoro technique, which applies well to tasks that are generally a few hours or less in duration. It's important to appreciate that just because you're breaking a task down into manageable chunks doesn't necessarily correspond with you working or having achieved those tasks. And this is the problem with productivity models. You have to be cognizant of the fact that these are just tools that help you, but unless you're able to achieve deep focus with ADHD and make progress on achieving your tasks, in all likelihood, you're probably procrastinating. Try to break down tasks to help you feel less overwhelmed and make meeting deadlines easier. Prioritize tasks based on importance and urgency to stop yourself putting out small fires throughout your day that don't actually help you make progress in the grand scheme of things and which risk you ending your day without feeling fulfilled. It's important to prioritize tasks in order of two things. The first is urgency and the second is importance. I went through the Eisenhower Decision Matrix in my video last week. In quadrant 1 are tasks that are both urgent and important, and these are tasks which I like to call crisis tasks. These are tasks that you want to really prioritize, as generally there are significant consequences if you don't actually do them. The next kind of tasks are important but non-urgent tasks, and these are tasks that align with your goals but you don't need to do them right now. You can defer them till later. The Eisenhower Matrix simplifies your decision making for you. By only focusing on these two tasks and either delegating or deleting the remaining tasks, it helps you clear up your schedule and focus on what actually matters and get rid of the fluff. With ADHD, clarity is very important to gaining control and reducing procrastination. It's easy to focus on an assignment and minimize procrastination when you know what you're doing next and what the next task is after that. Taking it one task at a time, no matter how complicated the overall task is. I can't recommend this process enough to stop you feeling stressed and overwhelmed with ADHD in the lead up to deadlines. Use Kanbans to visualize your progress with larger deadlines. Now, there are some tasks that lend well to lists, and these are generally one and done tasks that you can tick off right after doing them. And I tend to use tick for these kind of tasks, which is great because it incorporates the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. But there's a lot of complicated tasks like preparing for an exam or writing an essay where some coordination and planning is needed. For these more longitudinal tasks where it's easy to feel overwhelmed and lose track with ADHD, I find being able to visualize my progress is important. And I discovered the Kanban productivity system a few years ago when I started to use Notion. The Kanban system was created by the Japanese car manufacturer Toyota to optimize their manufacturing processes. Where traditional to-do lists work well for simple tasks, Kanban boards make it easy for you to visualize your progress with larger tasks, with lots of moving parts and keeping track of your progress throughout. The Kanban board can be as simple as having 3 columns: to do, doing, or done, and you can really customize it to suit your needs. But the main premise is that it allows you to visualize your progress throughout all phases of an assignment or deadline, and once you complete a small task, you can essentially hide it so you can focus on the next thing. It's almost like an interactive Gantt chart and stops you feeling overwhelmed. Having generalship of your day. Now, I'm a huge fan of boxing and MMA, and one of the factors which judges use to score fighters on is ring generalship. Taking control of the entire ring and using it to your advantage, not just staying in the center of the the ring, but taking ownership and control of the entire ring space. With ADHD, it's so important to build a daily routine and take control of your entire day, to have generalship of your day. That's the number one thing I find I need to hold on to in the lead up to exams or deadlines. For me, that's waking up at the same time each morning and sleeping at the same time. And this means that when I wake up, I don't have to think. I know what I'm going to be doing. I even know what time I'm going to get hungry and when I'm going to need a break from studying or working. What I found that's really helped me towards exams and deadlines is splitting my different university tasks up and doing these at different times throughout the day. For instance, I love writing early in the morning, whereas I'm generally worse at writing and finding my flow state with writing after dinner and in the lead up to bedtime. The opposite is true for developing new lines of code to run different analyses I'm working on, and I tend to really enjoy doing this in the evening. In this way, I'm able to control my PhD deadlines by doing work on my own schedule when I'm motivated to do them. There's of course times though when I'm not feeling motivated, but that's when willpower kicks in and when I have to be disciplined to work even though I don't actually want to. But what I found is I'm able to trick my brain into enjoying myself when I'm able to choose what work I'm going to be working on and when. It's really helped me working towards a deadline and meeting deadlines, especially when the deadlines are far away, and keeping motivated throughout is difficult. Getting over deadline anxiety. ADHD and anxiety have a lot of overlap. As someone with both, I find when I'm working towards deadlines or important exams at university, I can quite easily think too negatively about my progress and feel overwhelmed, and invariably this contributes towards procrastination. I used to ponder over and worry about things I couldn't control, whether I'd actually be able to finish all my material before the exams or finish my essay in time. When you have negative thoughts about your progress and whether you'll meet a deadline, it's very easy with ADHD to ruminate over things again and again in your head and procrastinate and waste time instead of actually working towards achieving your deadlines. It's important to cut this negative process off in its tracks. Deadlines can be stressful, but an important way I've managed to make friends with them is by appreciating two principles. The first is the 80-20 principle and the second is Parkinson's law. And how these principles have helped me manage deadline anxiety with ADHD is by making me appreciate the fact that the majority of time I spent preparing for an exam, 80% of it will only help me with 20% of the exam. In other words, time is not the only factor here with doing well at university. It's about playing it smart and finding the highest yield subjects to revise for ahead of an exam, focusing on the 20% of content that will make up 80% of the exam. Now with Parkinson's law, I found that generally work fills the time given for its completion. In other words, just because you have twice as much time to prepare for a deadline doesn't necessarily mean you'll perform better. However you look at it, deadlines can be anxiety provoking, but it's important to stop this anxiety by focusing on what you can actually control, which will make it easier for you to avoid procrastinating and actually attain deep work. The key really is to make friends with deadlines at university, and I hope in this video I was able to teach you even one thing that will help you feel less overwhelmed by deadlines and in turn enjoy the process more and procrastinate less. With ADHD, what I found is by having an understanding of my diagnosis, I've been able to coordinate everything in my life to help me achieve deep focus more frequently and cut out wasted time from procrastination. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, let me know what you learned in the comments below, and like this video and subscribe to stay up to date with more videos on the systems, frameworks and gadgets that help me make small marginal gains every single day at university with ADHD. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next week.